We've had 5 new sales this month, and the sort of total deal value comes to about £62,000. As a business owner, it really takes a lot of the stress away when I know that we have a decision-making framework to make the decision. You need to take the emotional side out of it and just make decisions based on the data.
Why do you still do the sales calls as the CEO of this business?
I've been thinking about this a lot with Amazon. Like, they have this concept, if you read Jeff Bezos' shareholder letters, he talks a lot about the customer obsession. And I think it's something in service businesses we often forget, is to be really obsessed about the customer, where they're at, what problems do they have. And so at the moment, my time as a founder, that's probably the most valuable place I can put it.
Hi, David. It's great to catch up with you again.
Good to see you.
In the last episode, you chatted a little bit about our Q1 goal. Can you just tell us a little bit, quick summary of what we discussed in the last episode?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would say that as like a we're building in public. It's not me. It's definitely an us. Our goal for the quarter is to sign 30 new high ticket clients. In an average quarter, we sign about 15. So something like 5 a month in a good quarter. So we're looking at basically doubling the increase in our business. We've had a marketing system that's been incredibly effective over the last year and a half since we kind of launched it. And we're now ready to scale up. We have the infrastructure and the people to actually deliver for more customers. So we're scaling up. So we kind of put our necks on the line a little bit in the last episode by talking about the fact, like, this is what we're planning to do, and kind of shouting it out in advance. And we're going to try and bring people along for the journey and kind of keep them up to date with how the progress is going.
I just want to say I really admire your bravery through all of this, because I see a lot of people on LinkedIn that are like, we signed 30 new clients and we generated this much in revenue. But you're right, you don't really see a lot of people doing it before the fact. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit today. You said you're going to show us everything. Can you tell us, how is it going?
Yeah, it's funny. I think there's a very fine line between bravery and stupidity. And I like that you put us on the line of bravery. I mean, I think the way I think about it is like, what's the worst that could happen? My guess is the most likely outcome is this is kind of like shooting for the stars. We might hit the moon. So we will see an increase in the amount of business we close. Will it be in line with what we're hoping and expecting? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we should have factored that into the initial calculations. But either way, it's going to be fun. And the main thing is we hope it's really useful for people. Like, we hope to go into a level of detail and just transparency that a lot of people can't go into, so that we can really help people and hopefully people get some good insights out of it. So to answer your question, it's going pretty well so far. So I'm just going to look at our marketing scorecard. I won't share my screen because there's some confidential information on here, but I'll share some stuff later on in the podcast. So we are on track. So we set ourselves a target. So we want to ramp up our spend to the point where we're spending about £10,000 per month on our marketing. But you don't want to just double your spend in the first month. So we're sort of slowly ramping that process up. So our goal for January was to spend about £7,000, and we're on track to do that. We wanted to generate 26 demo calls with that £7,000, and we're on track to do that. We're at about 25 at the moment, and we've got a couple of days left of January, so we'll probably end around 26, 27, something like that. We wanted to have a cost per demo of about £275. We're on 277.
Wow, that's amazing.
So actually everything is on track. The only metric that isn't on track is new sales. And that's partly a time lag thing, right? So some of these demos that are getting booked will be booked for the end of January or early February. And so there's going to be a time delay on that. So my expectation is we increase our ad spend in January, and then that leads to new business in probably February and March. So I think if we continue to see the metrics where they are, like the leading indicator metrics where they are, so that's our cost per demo and so on and so forth, and our close rates, and we continue to increase our ad spend, then I think we'll be in and around that 30 for the quarter. We've had 5 new sales this month, which includes some brand new customers and some existing customers who bought some more stuff from us. And the sort of total deal value comes to about £62,000. So we've had a decent month. I would give it maybe like a 7 out of 10. But I think a lot of the work that we've done in January will feed into the following months in the quarter. So I think we're on track to have a good quarter based on the leading metrics. And we'll obviously keep people up to date as we go. Do you have any questions on any of that? Well, I know I just shared a lot of data and info.
I do. You said you have a few clients that bought some other stuff from us. What do you mean by that?
So I think this is one of the things that people miss a lot with this kind of a strategy that we talk about, which is the demand generation, demand building, kind of brand first, content led approach, which is that, yes, it helps you to build your pipeline with new people who have not worked with you yet. But I believe it also really helps you when it comes to retaining your existing customers and, upselling them to new things. So these are customers where we've done a piece of work for them and they've come back to us and they've said, hey, what else can you do? Can you support us more? What else can you and your team do? Which is obviously what you want to see as a business, is people coming back and asking for more. So is it two? We just look at this. Actually, three of these sales are actually people that have worked with us and have asked and have come back for more help.
Amazing. So what are we going to count those in the 20 new clients for our goal? I mean, I think we should.
This is a great question. We should have thought about this before we hit record. I don't know. I mean, I think originally the goal was 30 new clients, but maybe we do need to tweak that a little bit and actually think about it as 30 new sales. 30 new sales is a much more conservative goal, much more achievable. Let's think about that and come back next week with an answer for people. That's left everyone hanging a little bit. But I
think the bottom line is revenue, right? And if you're looking at a business measured on revenue, it's 30 new sales, not 30 new clients. But you're right. Let's take that offline. What is your do you have like an average time frame from someone booking a call to closing? How long is this buyer cycle currently taking?
I should probably know that data, shouldn't I? But I don't off the top of my head. My guess would be our average sales cycle is, I really don't know. I'd have to go away and look at it. Some people, because of the way that we do our marketing, a lot of people go through their buying journey without us. And this is something we talk about with our partners quite a lot, is they're going through that buying journey without speaking to us. And then by the time they speak to us, they're usually pretty ready to kind of move forward. So it's pretty common that people, we have one call with someone and by the end of the call, they're ready to sort of sign up for a piece of work. And I had literally last night, I had a call with a customer who said, yeah, let's get started. So sometimes it can be very short, same day of the demo call. Other times there's more decision makers, it's a little bit more complicated, et cetera, and it can take longer. And then what's been interesting, because we've been doing this for a little while now, I've had a couple of conversations with people recently who I spoke with this time last year.
Wow.
And at the time they were like, yeah, this is exactly what we need. And then for whatever reason, they didn't ever pull the trigger on it. And what's been really interesting is like everyone without fail has come back to me and said, I'm in exactly the same place I was this time last year. And now I'm ready to talk about it. And it just goes to show, if you know something is right, you should just make the decision and go for it, because otherwise you're just going to be stuck in the same position, basically.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Okay, so can you tell me the quality of the calls that you're having? What's the quality like of the calls that are coming in?
Yeah, so for the most part, really high quality. Another piece of data that I don't have, which I was talking about before the call, which this is like the more embarrassing side about doing things in public, is you don't have information that you really should have, to be honest with you. And this just hopefully goes to show, I think sometimes people look at our content maybe and look at some of our results and they're like, oh, these guys know everything. They know exactly what they're doing. The reality is we're making it up as we go along, just like everyone else is, right? But another piece of information I think we don't have, which we're working on, we will have, is the short rate. So naturally there's a drop off from the number of people who book demos to those who actually attend. Historically, that's always been a very low number of people that drop off. So we're talking about 90% plus of people who actually do show up for the consultation. So that's one aspect when it comes to quality, is like how many of them are actually showing up. In a typical sort of lead gen style funnel, you can have show up rates of like 70%. So 3 out of every 10 are not showing up, which I just think is such a waste of everyone's time. So that's one factor to consider when it comes to quality. In terms of the people that I'm speaking to, because I still do all of our sales calls at this point, our initial consultations, and they don't feel like sales calls. I prefer the word consultation because I'm never trying to hard sell anyone. It's really just helping them understand where they are as a business, helping them with the next steps. And if we can help them with the next steps, obviously happy to talk about it. In terms of those conversations, they're really, really strong. So they're exactly within our ICP, people that we can help, people that really resonate with the message that we're putting out there. And again, that's another thing that we love about this approach, is it tends to bring companies to you who are a cultural fit, who you can really help, because I know these companies really, really well. I've been working for those companies for more than 10 years now. I deeply understand where they are, the problems that they have, and how to solve them. And so I think people can feel that from our content, which is why they come and they speak to us.
I think, as you said, this is the beauty of demand gen, is that when people do finally book in that call, they already understand what you do. They don't need to have like a whole sales pitch, because they already know who you are and what you're great at. You mentioned something just now about you're still doing the sales calls. And this is something that the team is obviously like hyper conscious of, is not wasting your time on low quality calls, because we need you doing other things. I mean, you don't spend all your day in sales calls, although it does kind of feel like it at the moment. Please, why do you still do the sales calls as the CEO of this business?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you exactly how much of my time it is, because I track all my time. So let me just get this up.
No, because I was trying to book in a meeting with you, and it's like trying to find these like little gaps in between.
So this week I've had 7.3 hours of sales calls.
That's a lot. That's almost.
So yeah, that's like probably a third of my time, quarter to a third of my time. So it's a big commitment. It's also one-to-one time. So as much as possible, I like to spend my time doing things that are like one-to-many. So creating content, group workshops, group calls, etc. And the reason that I still do it is that I think it's really important for us at this stage in our business to have, for me as the founder, the person who's like steering the ship, to have as much interaction with our customers as possible. So I'm still hands-on with our customers, and I'm still hands-on with our prospective customers, like the people that come want to speak to us. Because I just think it's incredibly valuable for me to be that close to the customer. I've been thinking about this a lot with Amazon. Like, they have this concept, if you read Jeff Bezos' shareholder letters, he talks a lot about the customer obsession. And I think it's something in service businesses we often forget, is to be really obsessed about the customer, where they at, what problems do they have, and so on. And so at the moment, my time as a founder, that's probably the most valuable place I can put it. Certainly at a certain stage, we'll have to have someone else doing those initial consultations, which is just natural progression for a company. But I'm sort of hanging on to it as long as it makes sense.
Okay. And can you tell me, so we're getting high quality calls, you still doing the sales calls. What is your close ratio?
These are such good questions that I should know the answer to. I don't know for this month, but I can tell you, yeah, historically, it's about 40%.
Wow, that's really good. That's super high. So for every 10 calls you're booking, we're signing 4 clients.
On average.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Okay, so we talk about what's going well. What I want to talk about is what's not going well, and how do you kind of constantly improve on this process?
Yes. So something that we're trying to be better at as a business, and especially me as a CEO, is to make more decisions based on data. So kind of take the pressure off the decision by just making the data make the decision for you, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, you have to analyze it and you have to make sure it makes sense. But what I'll do is I'll share now a kind of decision-making framework that we talk about. And we look at this weekly as a marketing team. So this is how we know, are we on track? Should we increase that spend? Should we reduce that spend, etc.? One of the great things about using paid ads for your growth is that in theory, you can just keep increasing the ad spend and keep getting more returns. And so we're in a phase now where I want to find where is that break point where we stop seeing the same level of returns. But we want to do that strategically. So let me just share my screen. So this is a decision-making framework that Jonty, our head of operations, put together. And so this is after you've found resonance. So after you have content that people are resonating with. And maybe that's a topic for another day, is finding that resonance, which we talk about. That's the most important thing when you're starting. Find a message that people really resonate with.
Just a flag, you did speak about it in our last episode. So if anybody wants to go hear more about market resonance and finding market resonance, they can check out episode 6 of the Building in Public podcast.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah. And we can certainly do more on that if that's interesting to people, to actually break down how do you practically do it. But yeah, it's so important to find a message that really resonates with people. Once you have that, it's like, how do we scale this up? So once, over the last year or so, we've had a great marketing system that generated really good returns on the spend. How do we ramp that up over time? So what we do is on a weekly basis currently, we review our kind of core KPIs. At the moment, the primary KPI we look at is our cost per demo on the platform that we're advertising on. In our case, that's LinkedIn. So we're looking at what is the cost per demo. Now, if the metrics are above target, so if they're looking really, really good, then we increase our budget significantly, 30 to 50%, which is a big increase. Like if you're spending £1,000 a day, to add another £300 is a significant increase in ad spend. At the moment, we're at something like £300 a day, something like that. And if our metrics are on target but not above target, we will consider making an increase of 10 to 20%, or keep the same if we've recently increased the ad spend. And then if our metrics are below target, we'll consider reducing the budget. Like if it's been multiple weeks, we'll consider reducing the budget. This is where it's a bit more of a decision of like, okay, do we need to look at our conversion process? What do we need to change to get the metrics back on target before we then increase? And then we just have a delay of 3 to 5 days or a week or so to let that change bed in and see what kind of results it generates.
Can you talk me through the metrics, the targets? How do you know if it's above, on, or below?
So at the moment, our primary KPI is cost per demo. And so let's say we target ourselves on a £300 cost per demo. If it's costing us more than that, then that's below. If it's less than that, then it's above. As simple as that, really.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And then can you talk like in practical application, how has this decision-making chart helped you? Like if we can go through the last 2 to 3 weeks of us actually running this experiment, how have you used this exact decision-making process?
Yes. So what's funny is the first week of the year, we didn't really follow this exactly. And so we relaunched our ads on the 6th of January. And in the first week, we absolutely crushed it. Like we were booking demos at like £100, which is significantly above target in this case. So significantly less than what we were expecting to pay for a demo. And so I was like, right, we're going all in. We increased our ad spend by something like 110%. So more than doubled our ad spend. And then what's really funny is the following week, it basically completely tailed off. So what we probably should have done in hindsight is been a bit more strategic and like slowly ramped up. But I think it was still the right decision because, to be honest, the way that our marketing works is we don't see the results right away. So we increase our ad spend, and it takes a few weeks or maybe even a month or so to actually that lead to more demos in the calendar. And then the demos in the calendar, that takes a few weeks or a month or two to lead to more revenue in the business. So, I'm still happy of where we are, but the reality is, if we'd have stuck to this more closely, we probably would have increased by 50% rather than 110%. And then last week we saw things pretty much. So we had the week after that, the metrics were not looking good at all. So they were actually below target. It was costing us more for that week. It was costing us a little bit more than we hoped. And what we actually did is we just kept the metrics the same. We kept the ad spend the same. So we didn't decrease it in this case. Kind of just let's hold the line and see what happens. And sure enough, it picked up again the following week. So I think, as a business owner, it really takes a lot of the stress away for me personally, when I know that we have a decision-making framework to make the decision, and it doesn't just sit with like how I'm feeling that day. Because if I'm feeling really good and really bullish, I might be inclined to significantly increase spend. Or if I'm not feeling very good and I'm a bit like on the back foot or something, then I might be inclined to decrease the spend when actually I should increase it. And so when you start to spend quite a lot of money on marketing, obviously a lot of companies have much bigger marketing budgets than we do. But if you're spending 300, 400, 500 pounds a day on paid advertising, it's almost like trading. Like you need to take the emotional side out of it and just make decisions based on the data.
Okay. And then I just want to break down this chart just a little bit more on, we luckily haven't been in this position, but if our metrics were below targets, what actions would we take to try and self-correct?
Yeah, it depends where you are as a business. So for us, we have good cash flows and we're prepared to spend money to figure this out, if that makes sense. But if you're concerned about cash flow, you should consider reducing the budget until you've found something, until you've optimized the ad set so that it can scale up. So in our case, what we would do is we would testing to see if we can improve the cost per demo. So we would swap out ads, we'd add new creatives, maybe we'd create a new video sales letter, et cetera, et cetera. So there's lots of things you can do to improve your metrics overall. So that's what we would probably do in our case. But that's not necessarily the advice I would give to another business. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. And just last question on this chart. The creatives that you're running, obviously I work in creative, so I'm not going to let you go an episode without talking about content and creative. So can you tell me what creatives are you running at the moment, and have you switched any of them out, or are you still running the same creatives from the beginning of the year?
Yeah, we haven't changed our creative process very much at all, actually. So we, it's very similar to what people will have seen on previous episodes and previous videos. We have basically insights and information and educational content that goes out to people. One of the things I've learned, and maybe we'll break this down a bit more in another episode, I feel like the less I ask for things, the more money we make as a business. I could post a post on LinkedIn today and collect a bunch of leads. Like I could post a lead gen post on LinkedIn and get a bunch of people who are interested in downloading something that I have, or me sending them a guide or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I have just found, for whatever reason, that the less I do that, the more we make money overall. So that's our strategy. We basically never ask for anything in any of our content or ads. And it seems to attract the right people to us. Is that the right approach for everyone? I don't know. Probably not. But that's been our philosophy. And rule number one of marketing is like, if something's working, just stick to it as much as you can.
Double down. Exactly. Okay, so the last question I have for you today, and as you said it earlier, so I'm allowed to repeat it. We're not sure if it's brave or stupid, but we're going to be in the couple of weeks doing a live Build in Public podcast. Can you tell me why you want to do it live, and how can people check it out? What can they expect from the live episode?
Yeah, we're really excited to do a live episode, and what we want to do basically is have the format will be similar. The thing that we're changing is we'll have a live audience there, and we'll have a Q&A section at the end. So we just want ways to interact with the community of people who are kind of following the journey, which is relatively small at the moment, but I do expect it to grow and grow over time. We're getting some nice attention, like people seem to care about what we're doing, which is really cool. So it's an opportunity for anyone who's listening to this who, wants to come on, be here live in the room with us, ask any questions you want of me at the end, and kind of be more involved in what we're doing here and kind of the movement behind what we're doing, if I can put it that way. Then we'd absolutely love to have you. And I'm really excited about this because, kind of what I was saying earlier with the sales calls, I love interacting with people in our marketplace. And I think we can kind of figure this out together, which is exciting. If you do want to attend the call live, we're going to have quite limited slots. So there's not going to be hundreds of people on the call. The best thing to do is to go to our website, /build in public updates. So B2B /build in public updates. You'll be able to navigate there from the home screen. And just sign up for the Build in Public updates. And you'll get an email there saying like, hey, do you want to join live? And yeah, that's the best way to learn more, or just send me a DM on LinkedIn or whatever. We'll probably be doing it in a week or two's time from when we're recording this. So I don't know what that's going to look like from a timeline perspective.
I think it's in mid-Feb. I think it'll be around mid-February.
So it'll be mid-February. Okay. And yeah, really excited to have some of you guys there. So let us know if you're interested.
I think that's a great shout as well. You mentioned that it is still quite a small community and it's limited access. So it is a very high touch workshop. And really, I mean, people pay a lot of money for your time really in like a go-to-market workshop. So such a valuable opportunity. And we'll be opening up the seats first to people that are subscribed to the newsletter that, as you mentioned, you subscribe to the updates, you'll get first notification. If the seats aren't full, then we'll open up to the public on LinkedIn. But to be honest, I don't think that's actually going to happen.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Amazing. Well, David, thank you so much for your time and for your transparency. It's really great for me to be able to witness this journey by your side. So yeah, thanks so much for having me here, asking you the questions, and thanks for your time once again.
Couldn't do it without you.